Hello Shiva, I already have some messages today. Okay, so let's wait for some more people to join in and we will start taking the questions. Okay, we do have. Hey Joel, good morning. Okay, and now I see people joining finally. Hi Samrat. Hello, the member show. Hi, Siddharth. Okay, so I think I have uh, quite a few people already. Good morning, Ganesh. So before we start, just like every time, if anyone could just confirm if they can see me well and if they can hear me well. Hi, Mohammed. If I'm audible and if I'm visible, if anyone can just confirm that, and once I have that confirmation from at least two people, we will start this live. Okay, thank you, Samrat, for that. And maybe one more person. Anyone, if could you could just confirm. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone, once again. And thank you for turning up for this live stream. It's a Sunday morning, and I know for a lot of people it might just not be. Uh, it might not be the ideal thing. Logo is damn cool, and who is the idea, sir? Sahida, actually, there were actually quite a bit of discussion that went behind the logo, behind the change of the logo, and the biggest idea was actually from a suggestion from someone who is like very well known in Indian YouTube market, and we were discussing with him, and he sort of pointed out that basically red is the color scheme of YouTube, and we our previous logo was also red, so it was kind of that, he suggested that YouTube does not really promote, or even people, like even subscribers, even while we are browsing, like we kind of get confused if it is a YouTube content or if it is the content from some other channel, and that's why he suggested us not to use the red color in the logo, and that made perfect sense to us, and we were like, okay, if we have to make a change, why not now, that we don't really have to wait for the future when we have more number of subscribers. So yeah, that was the idea behind it, and I'm glad that we actually did that pretty quickly, and Caleb did come up with a good color that is being liked by a lot of people. The logo, like we actually had the logo, so we just had to change the color scheme, and uh, stock market, new success life. We do not talk about stock market in this live. We only talk about startups and entrepreneurship. So if you have any idea about, so if you have any questions about startups and entrepreneurship, please ask them. And just like I keep saying, I'll be answering every single of the questions which are related to startups and entrepreneurship in this live stream. So yeah, please keep your questions, and please do not spam. I don't know what your name is, but again, any update on the 3D building machines regarding how it can be managed all the climatic condition? Uh, Sai Siddharth, what do you mean by what the climatic conditions? I'm sure, like, if, like, do you mean the machine can manage the climatic conditions? Then I'm sure, like, it is just going to be a machine just like our gadgets and everything else. So the extreme climatic conditions might not really have a lot of impact on that. I mean, obviously, like if you're talking about, let's say, minus 30, minus 40, that might have some of these issues on these machines. But anything which is moderate, like the temperature that we see in India, are actually the major parts of India, and everywhere else, I don't really think there should be an issue. Elon Musk will change the market or something else. Samrat does not make sense. People say that if we want to be a millionaire, then we should spend time with millionaires and so on. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you should. How should we approach entrepreneurs? So, Priyanshu, it does not really mean that you actually have to approach entrepreneurs and spend time with entrepreneurs. It's all about, like, when you. There is a really good book by Shiv Kheda, which says you can win. I basically read the Hindi version of it when I was really, really young. The Hindi version is known as Jeet Aapki. And in that, he says, like, if you want to be successful, you need to start thinking like successful people. And if you want to be rich, you have to start thinking like rich people. And how do you start thinking rich? Like rich people, how do you know how rich people think? There are so many books. There are, like, now we even have YouTube as a medium, and there are so many people who are giving interviews, who are making podcasts, who are basically just sharing their wisdom and knowledge. So YouTube is the perfect platform. I don't know what kind of platform you like. Do you like reading books? Do you like listening to books? Do you like listening to podcasts? Do you like watching people's interviews? So I think YouTube will be the perfect place, because on YouTube you can approach literally anyone, right from Elon Musk to Bill Gates. Like, you don't really have to talk to them, but if they're talking, if they're sharing their knowledge and wisdom, it's pretty much just like they're sharing their knowledge and wisdom with you. So just start with that, and have some of your basically, choose some of your niche, that okay, this is the entrepreneurship side that I'll be interested in, this is something I want to do. And once you know what you want to do, once you have something accomplished, then start reaching out to the entrepreneurs. So it might just be perfect for you to begin with the least possible, like, with the stuff that requires the least possible efforts, and just go basically take the steps. And I hope that makes sense for you, and I hope that will work for you. So you ignored mine, Ankit. I did not ignore yours. What was yours? I have. Okay, sorry. I want to start up and want to proceed fund for my startup. Please guide, sir. So Ankit, just like I keep saying, raising funds should not be the only motivation for you when you are starting up. You basically need to have an issue that you're solving. You basically need to have a product that is better than the other products which are there in the market, or products which can basically solve the problems which are bigger than the problems which are the products are solving in the market. So do not really go for the funds, right, when you don't even know when you are starting up. In that stage, when you're just starting up and when you don't even know that where to go for funds, I think the best place to go is your family and friends. Just convince your friends, convince your family members, the relatives around you, that okay, this is something I'm doing. Because if you can convince your friends and family members, you can certainly convince or any investor or entrepreneur. But if you cannot convince, like, even if your family members and your relatives are not convinced about your startup idea, then no investor will be. So I think that will be the perfect place for you to begin with. But more than that, I'll just say, like, basically you start working on your product, work on an MVP. Do not have raising funds as the first goal of your starting up journey. There are so many other things which matter than raising funds, and I hope that makes sense. Okay, Shiva Sankran, I want your suggestion on how to scale a web app horizontally for handling 1 million users on a budget. Just don't want to get logged in a particular service. I want to suggest how to scale a web app horizontally for handling 1 million users on a budget. So, Shiva Sankran, what do you know? What do you mean about handling 1 million users on a budget? Do you mean the server side of it? Do you mean the marketing side of? I mean, what exactly do you want to handle for 1 million users on a budget? Because if there are 1 million users that you have, and if it is a paid service, or if it is like, even if it is like something that you are monetizing not directly but indirectly, I think it should pay for itself. So yeah, I'll need more details on what do you mean by managing 1 million users on a budget. Please give me more details. And guys, I want to make sure, I want to mention one more thing. It is 11:27 right now, and I will be accepting questions which are sent to me before 11:50. So we have 23 more minutes. So please send all your questions before 11:50, because I will not be considering any more questions after that. And because I just don't want to extend this live stream like way beyond, so that it doesn't really become interesting. I want to kind of keep it limited to 45-50 minutes, or less than an hour. So till 11:50 we have time. I'll be basically considering the questions. So Mohammed, every time I start to work on a product idea, I just cannot go beyond designing UI of the product. So and Mohammed, what do you think is the challenge behind that? Like, do you think that there is no market for that? Do you think there is no, there is like you need a lot of resources about it? Like, what are your reasons? Because going through your question, I kind of think that you have worked on multiple products, so I'm certain, like, you would already have the answer for your product, or the answer for your question. If you do not, you basically just have to go back and analyze what went wrong in every single of those things. Like, what was your motivation level when you were starting? What was motivating you? Like, what was the best thing about that product idea which was motivating you? And after the UI UX design of your idea, like, what went wrong? I think you are the best person to analyze that if you have worked on multiple projects. And yeah, if you can give me a little bit more detail, maybe I can try helping you. Winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Certainly, Jayesh, that's how everyone, I think, should be considering their startup journey. So can you guys include or start a new series about or new startups in USA, European countries, because there is no series available in any YouTube? Yes, I said that actually we were talking to someone which could potentially be a collaboration about something which you just mentioned, but it is still in the very early stage. So we might be able to announce something in the next few weeks, but right now there is nothing concrete. But just like I said, our main focus is the Indian startup market. But yeah, just for the motivation, basically, just to make sure that Indians get motivated by the kind of ideas, by the kind of startups which are going on in other markets. We have to make that series, but right now I don't really see a possibility in the near future, like in next 4 to 6 weeks. But we should certainly, like, we will certainly make something on that. Is there a Discord or a Slack server? Yes, Rotten at Eldritch, sorry. We do have a Discord server, and I am active there like at least once or twice every week. Please go and find the link in our on our channel. We have basically on the channel's homepage on YouTube there is a Discord server link, and yeah, you can actually find that, and let's connect on Discord. How to start thinking out of the comfort zone, Vikram? How to start thinking out of the comfort zone? Like, I think the first thing is just to have an idea, just to have a dream or an aim that okay, this is something that I have to develop. I have to develop, like I have to start doing it, let's say, and then set a timeline for that, and then set an action plan. And it doesn't have to be $1 million idea. It doesn't have to be a startup idea. Now that we are talking about startups, it doesn't really have to be a startup. Let's say you are like right now is the time when a lot of people are demotivated. A lot of people are just around their houses, not working out, not going out. So I think, and that's a comfort zone for a lot of people. So I think the best thing for you to begin will be, let's say, I'll just start working out from tomorrow. That's pushing your comfort zone, right? Start from these mini steps, and once you start doing that, maybe just try to push yourself a little bit more, let's say you like running, run for 5 minutes today, run for 7 minutes, 3 days later run for, let's say, 10 minutes. So start pushing yourself like a little by little, and then have like any plan that you have a time bound goal for that, have a time bound plan for that, that okay, this is something I have to achieve in these many days, because any plan without sorry any goal with there is sorry any goal without a timeline is just a plan, it's not a goal, right? So make all of your plans into goals, that okay, by this time I have to, and just like I'm basically, first you have to have your lifestyle out of the comfort zone, and once you have that, everything else will fall back into place, like your startup idea, your education, your corporate life, whatever you do apart from your personal life, everything will basically fall into place once you are in the right mindset. So just now start with something that you think is too hard for you. Just start small, take those baby steps, try, keep pushing yourself. And just like I said, it can be anything. Like you do not like reading, just start reading from tomorrow. Basically just come up with, let's say, some books, and start reading, let's say, 5 pages a day, and then just try to extend that to 7 pages, 10 pages. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be workout. It doesn't have to be, reading books. It can be anything which you think is out of your comfort zone. And just like I said, every single plan has to be coupled with a time-based goal. So once you do that, I don't think, that's basically the first step. And once you start doing that, you'll figure out how to get out of your comfort zone in literally anything that you do in your life. So my startup name is Diggin, okay, or however you call it. My startup is organizing the unorganized food sector, as many food ordering platforms haven't noticed in the unorganized street food sector. What do you suggest? My startup is organizing the unorganized food sector, okay. As many big food ordering platforms haven't noticed the unorganized street food sector. What do you suggest? Okay, if you're talking about the street food, like we have the cooked street food. I mean, if you are talking about, let's say, chaat and all these stuff, what do you mean about managing it? What do you mean about organizing it? Are you having an app which basically takes order from these things? Are you providing them some sort of technology? Are you providing them some sort of inventory management, or basically billing? This is certainly a very huge untapped market. So, but I don't know how you are trying to tap it. So maybe I'll need a little bit more detail from you, Ganesh, but I can certainly give you some suggestions maybe. So if you want to just give me these details here, or if you just want to reach out to me after this live stream, I would love to talk about it. Sir, how to build a network? Samrat, I think the best way to build a network is find like-minded people like you. That's it. People who might be more successful than you, people who might be less successful than you, but you basically have to match the wavelength. And that could be people around you. Let's say your classmates, people around you in your school, in your workplace. Just start small. Just like most of the times what we really do is we basically try to take inspiration from the things which are really big, and then we get demotivated because we cannot make things that big, and we do not realize that making things big needs a lot of persistence, patience, and time. We do not really realize that, because every single thing, every biggest of ideas that you see was started very, very small. So I think that's the thing that you really need to keep in mind when you're starting with it. Start, have, let's say, 4 to 5 people in your network. Try discussing with them. Have a vision about that network. Like, why do you want to have that network? Right, when you join LinkedIn, even they ask you, like, what is your motivation behind joining LinkedIn? Do you want to create a network? Do you want to find a job? Do you just want to create connections, or do you just want to be updated with what is happening in the professional circle? So you need to be you need to have a vision about that network. Like, okay, this is why I'm creating that network. I'm creating that network to find a better job. I'm creating that network to find like-minded people in my locality or my city. And then once you have that, the first few people will basically act as the most important people in your network. Make them understand of that network. Try to go around, find more people, and before you realize it, basically will become big. But just like I said, if you are a small network, don't lose hope. Don't lose that patience and persistence. Keep doing it. And yes, I think define your vision. That is going to be the first thing and the most important thing. How can I find a place for my product in existing market? Siddharth, you can find a place for your product in the existing market by either creating a better product, or by having, let's say, a lesser amount, or a lesser fee than the other products which are working in the market. Basically, these two are the most important, or most common things. But apart from that, again, depends on the product, and you will need to give me a little bit more detail about the product and the market for me to suggest anything. Can you share us about the latest acquisition done by Grow and how it was done? And we all know Grow is a startup. They managed to buy such huge company. So Siddharth, it is the India Bulls mutual funds business by Grow. So yeah, Grow is not a small company. Grow basically has a valuation of more than $1 billion. Grow has raised a lot of funds. So, and that's really the thing. Like there was. PMC Bank, I think, Pune and Maharashtra Corporate Bank, or Pune. So there was some bank in Maharashtra, or I think Gujarat, and it was a cooperative bank, and Paytm was trying to buy it last year, and I don't know what basically happened, because there was no official news. So these startups were startups, but now they are billion dollar companies. They have a lot of cash with them. They basically have. So you cannot really say that Grow is a very small company. I don't know, what happened in the background, what were the discussions, but the India Bulls mutual finance business was not really doing very good, and certainly, like, I think they figured out that with the kind of technology and with the kind of vision that Grow has, because Grow has, I think they were started in 2017, and within less than 4 years of launch, they have become a unicorn company. So the kind of vision, the kind of technology, the kind of execution power that Grow has, I'm sure the India Bulls basically wasn't really looking at a small company. They were looking at the kind of potential that a company like Grow has, and I'm sure that would have been one of the major factors behind this acquisition. Good books for startup. The Memo Show. So this question basically comes up almost every time, but now I have a couple of books which I can answer, which I can basically suggest that I have read those books: Psychology of Money, The Intelligent Investor, and the 5 AM Club. And also there are a couple of books from Indian authors, like there was I'm not really getting that book. There was a story. There was a book from. Okay, I maybe I'll just update. I'll actually, what I'll do is I'll comment in the comment section of this video after this live is there. So I will actually make a list of at least 10 books, and I will comment in the comment section of this. That's a promise. So you can basically check this video after it goes live on the YouTube, and you will have something for that. Chandan, how feasible hydroponic farming business can be? Can it boost the agricultural sector? Hydroponic, yes, it can be. Basically, Yes, and it can actually boost the agricultural sector even in the cities, even at the places where there is there is no space to do agriculture because it doesn't really require land, it doesn't really require sand or any kind of yeah, it doesn't require sand, it doesn't require land. You can basically have a vertical farming. You can just club hydroponic vertical. You can grow a hydroponic garden right on your terrace. So I think the biggest thing it will do is it will make a lot of people who are in the cities, it will basically empower them to have their own gardens right on the terraces, because again, it is not very costly to build a hydroponic garden right on your terrace. It is not very costly. You can control the quality of it. It is usually organic. You don't have to put a lot of chemical in that. So I think now that we are going towards a society which is much more concerned about health, which is much more concerned, which is going to be much more concerned about what we eat and what we consume. I think hydroponic is going to be the future, and there are a lot of companies in India which are already working big in that. There are a lot of companies which are already working in setting up these hydroponic uh, places right in your terraces, right in wherever you have space. So yes, if that was your question, then yes, it can certainly boost the agricultural sector because it can boost uh, the kind of production capacity that you can have from a limited amount of area. So even for the people, in India, we keep talking about people who have less than an acre or less than 2 acres of land. So for those people, it is great. Even for the people, just like I said, like if you are staying in a city, if you just have a small terrace for yourself, you can grow your own vegetable. You can basically grow a lot of exotic vegetables and the vegetables that are being used. So just like I said, more than anything else, I think it will be the quality of that food, quality of those vegetables and the fruits that is going to be the differentiator. So yes, it is certainly going to boost the agricultural sector. But right now, because this thing is new, because there are not a lot of companies, there is not a lot of competition. So the setup cost might be a little bit higher for some people. Like some people might consider the setup cost for a hydroponic setup a little bit more than the traditional one. And in India, we still have a lot of farmland. We still have like a lot of farmers working on that. So it might still be something for the future. Like we might still have to wait for 2 to 5 years to see hydroponic systems a little bit more mainstream in India. But like I've seen some of those working. I have used a couple of them. I have basically seen some people actually working on their own hydroponic setups right on their terraces, and I'm very convinced about it that this is going to be the future. Uh, and I hope that answers your question. So helpful. What should we keep eyes on when searching for a startup idea? So helpful. Again, I don't know what your name is, but the best thing about, like, you do not really have to search for a startup idea. Startup ideas are based on the kind of problems that either you are facing or the people around you are facing, or you're very convinced that okay, this problem can be big. So those are the things which basically give you these startups idea. You can simply just not go outside and just say to people that okay, I'm looking for a startup idea, just give me a startup idea and I want to just start with that. So I think you don't most of these startup ideas, they come when you are least looking for them. You're just living your life, you just face a problem, and then you think, okay, can this problem be faced by a lot of people? Is it only me who's facing this problem, or there are a lot more people who are facing the same issue? And if you see that okay, there are a lot of more other people who are also facing these issues, then this is how basically it works out. And yeah, I hope that answers again. Is it possible to design a website without coding, Shivani? Yes, Shivani. There are actually a lot of I. So there is a guy called Mark Zwilling, and he runs a program called Startup Grow, and he was also in the team of HCL, which built the first computer in 1970s for HCL. And I happened to interview him in 2016, and this was the first thing that I asked him, that what is the difference that he sees in the startup world when he was starting, and what is basically compared to the startup world of today. And this was the biggest thing that he said, that you can just be live and running with a website in less than 5 minutes. There is WordPress, there is Wix, there are literally a lot of these content management systems which are called as CMS. There are a lot of these platforms which can help you build a website without coding in less than a minute, less than 5 minutes. There have been times that I have created a website right from registering a domain name to making a website live in under 10 minutes. Like again, I'm not claiming that this website was great. This website had a great design, but I'm only talking about the time taken from registering a domain right to making a website live. So WordPress could be the best solution for you. WordPress, you don't really need to have coding. There are a lot of these drag and drop solutions available. You can basically just visualize that in your head, and everything is right there on the screen. You can just drag and drop the layouts. You can drag and drop the elements that you want on your website. So yes, you can certainly design a website without coding. That's the short answer. And WordPress will be the biggest platform, I guess, according to me right now. But there are a lot of other platforms as well. But WordPress, I think, will be the most user friendly if you do not have any experience with coding. Hello, Rajan. Can you suggest how to find a tech co-founder? So Ganesh, I have answered that so many times in my questions. Uh, so how to find a tech co-founder? I think I think the best thing would be to just look around your own circle. The best thing would be to make sure that the people around you, your classmates, people in your relatives, can you find someone like them who is interested in your idea, who basically has the same wavelength or basically has the same motivation level for the kind of thing that you're building. If not, then I think the best thing will be to find it online, because right now we cannot really go into offline world. But I think there are a lot of communities on Facebook. There are a lot of communities. Basically, a lot of job postings on Angel List. There are a lot of these job portals where one thing you need to find out is you can just list down that okay, these are the things that you're offering. These are the kind of things that you're expecting out of the person who you are going to make your CTO. And I think this should not really be a very tough task when you are really looking for someone with a clear intention, with a clear frame of mind that okay, this is what I need from this person, and this is what I can offer this person. This shouldn't really be much of an issue for you. Do BWM has a separate app apart from the messaging app? Siddharth, what do you mean about the messaging app? Like, we do not have any app. Which messaging app are you talking about? Biomedical startup advice, education dilemma. What advice do you need? Biomedical certainly is going to be the emerging sector right now. I mean, it is already the emerging sector. And what advice do you need? I might not really be able to provide you a lot of technical knowledge on it, because I haven't studied biomedical, but I might be able to give you some sort of business advice on that. But again, I'll need more details about. Kaushik, I skipped your question posted on 11/23, Kaushik. Oh, good morning. Any startup who are concentrating on coming up with customizing Tesla like IVI, like controlling your car with your smartphone? I'm not aware of that, Kaushik. Any startup coming IVI? What is IVI basically? Is it level 4 automation? No. Autonomy? No. No, Kaushik, I'm not really aware about any of these startups. So yes, I think that's why maybe I skipped your question. But yeah, it wasn't intentional. Sorry. Vikram, I have a great idea. 10 out of 8 liked it, but I don't know where to start. Please help. Vikram, I think I have already answered that in this live stream. If you have an idea which you think is great, so break that down into 10 different ideas. Like, let's say you want to build an app with these many features. Based on the priority, based on the kind of interest level, or based on the kind of importance, maybe have 10 different steps onto that. Basically, just what do I say? Divide your business plan into 10 small business plans, and then go one by one. If that is the thing, like if you're just looking at one business idea, and if you think okay, this is too complicated, I don't know how to start with that. If you are if your idea for not starting is related to the funds, if you do not have funds to start up, then that's a different idea. That's a different challenge. If technical expertise are the challenge behind you not being able to start up, then that's a different thing. So I think first you have to figure out what the issue is, and once you have the issue, then I think I'll be more than happy, or I'll be more capable to answer that. Yeah, I mean, what basically according to you is the main challenge that you are not being able to start up? Is it the technical expertise? Is it the funds? Is it that you just don't know how to start? What does media startup like Monk E Entertainment do? Monkey Anime. I think that is started by Ranveer of Beer Biceps. So Ankit, I just know the name of this startup. I don't know what they really do. So I'll have to do a little bit more research to actually give you some details on that. But if you can just maybe provide, if you can share details of any other startup like this, maybe I will just look at that and I can give you more details. But yes, I don't really know what they really do before so that I can give you an answer. Is it possible to design a website? I already have answered that, Shivani. Uh, Case Kun, what is the future of smartwatch app-based startup in your opinion? Case Kun, I think this is smartwatches. Like the craze of smartwatches has increased a lot in the last 3 4 years, and it is going to even increase. It is going to further increase. Now there are a lot of companies. Like we actually started with Samsung and Apple smartwatches. Now we have a lot more companies making these smartwatches and selling that, and the numbers are looking really really good. Now that even OnePlus, Huawei, and Xiaomi, MI, they are making their smartwatches, and I think it again depends on because smartwatches usually have very limited functionality. So that is, I think, going to be your biggest challenge. That if you can really make your smartwatch or the app on that smartwatch being, like if you can actually make it that usable that everyone has to use it, because smartwatch is not a smartphone, and the attention span, basically the time people spend on their smartwatches, is very limited compared to the smartphone. So I think if you're only looking for an app which only works for a smartwatch, you have to make it interesting, because just like I said, the attention span of people or of the users on a smartwatch is much less than a smartphone. So I think even in smartphones, if you are working on creating an app, a lot of people say that okay, you have to create an app which you can give a daily use case to people. So I think that's another thing, that if you cannot give a daily use case to people who work on their smartwatch, your app might just have tough time basically being accepted by a lot of people. But if you can actually give those reasons for people to use it every single day, then yes. uh, what if patents are issued on the same idea and hardware from foreign countries by our competitors? What if patents are issued on the same idea? If I understand your question correct, Mishibili and Shibli. Okay, if I understand your question correct, I think you are saying that you and your competitors are working on the same idea, and both of you apply for the patent, and your competitor gets the patent. So I think you cannot really do a lot in that. If you have certain proofs, if you have enough proofs that okay, you applied for that patent before them, then you have an edge. But if you cannot prove that if you applied for the same patent before your competitor, then I think there is no way that you can claim that. The best thing you can do is you can talk to your competitor, work on some sort of technology transfer agreement, and make sure that you can actually use their patent while giving some sort of royalty to them, basically, while sharing some of your revenue or profits with them. I think that's the best thing you can do, because if you cannot prove that you filed for that patent before your competitor. What would be the right way to promote digital products related to study material for BSc Math students, maybe paid or free? Razin, what would be the right way to promote digital products? Okay, I think the best way to promote the digital products is to promote it to the people who do not get proper education. And the best place would be, or the best people for that would be the students who are studying in the government colleges. There are actually a lot of government colleges in a lot of places in this country where they don't have resources. They basically don't have even the manpower, even the professors to read, or to basically teach them. I think that will be the best place to begin with. Again, that might not really work out for you if you're looking for a paid business model. If you're if you are I don't know what your price point is going to be, but that might just be the best thing. You can also work with the governments. There are a lot of governments that are there are basically these higher education departments in a lot of governments which manage these education institutions. So I worked with the Department of Higher Education in Government of Rajasthan, and they were basically in charge of managing all the degree colleges in Rajasthan. So that will be the fastest way for you to reach out to these, because one circular from the Department of Higher Education in your city or in your state basically will compel or basically make every single of those degree colleges bound to be to basically follow, what are the orders are there. So if you can just try to try to arrange a meeting with the commissioner. Basically these departments are handled by the IAS officer, which are on the rank of a commissioner, so commissioner or the secretaries. So I think that will be the best thing for you to begin with. Just reach out to them. These are IAS officers who basically know a lot more, or who basically want to understand much more about the youth, about the innovations, about a lot of these things. So I'm certain they will be, they will be much more happy to give you some time, and they will be more than willing to understand what you are really presenting to them. So I think that will be the best thing for you to begin with. Again, I don't really have idea about what kind of product you have, because anyone who is studying in a private college might not really find it so useful if it is not if it is only providing like BSc maths, like if it is only providing the educational content which they are already studying in their college. But if they are studying something in, let's say, in a college where they, no, oh sorry, if your content is something which is based on something, let's say, which is giving them a career path, which maybe if you are teaching them something related to their career which is much beyond the BSc material, then it might also be beneficial, or it might also cater to the people who are giving you, or who are basically studying in the private colleges. But apart from that, another thing what you can really do is if you can make a product which is enough for them. Like in India, a lot of people like shortcuts, right? If you can basically give them a material which they can revise the entire material of a year in let's say 7 days or 10 days when their exams are near, that might just be the best thing for them to work on. And yeah, again, I don't know what your business model is, so just based on that, I think there are 2-3 suggestions that I gave you. But make sure, yeah, you can just give me more details on this. I think we are already past the time right now, but maybe you can just reach out to me with more details, and I'll be happy to provide you any kind of feedback that I can. Siddharth, how to make a place for my product in existing market where already well-known companies are there? Siddharth, I already answered that. Either you make your product more like, either you solve bigger problems, either you basically provide lesser, like, basically provide that cheaper, or you provide that to some specific sectors. Let's say there is a product which is solving 10 different things, and you just want to solve one thing out of those. So you just make a product which is solving just one of these things and not the 10 things out of them, and that might be another thing for you to compete with these big companies. Siddharth, how to make a... Okay, I have already answered that. Aditya, have been working on an idea from past 2 years. We have developed and refined the idea and all things are set up for launch, but I don't know how to contact an investor. What do you advise? Aditya, if you've already developed something, if you have already been working on something, and if you have an MVP, or with the kind of information that you provided, I'm assuming that you already have and have a fully developed product. So I think the best thing, you can simply just reach out to the investors, do a little bit of your research that okay, this is a sector that I'm targeting. Who are the other investors who have invested in this sector? Right? Who are the other investors who are, let's say, not invested in the sector, but are the competitors of the investors who have invested in the sector? Who are the other companies? Are there VCs which are coming to India, or which are coming to your area? Sorry, or which the VCs which are basically coming to your sector, who have not invested and who are looking for these kind of opportunities. So I think that will be the best thing for you to begin with. And I think I keep saying it every single time that investors are very, very approachable. These investors basically want to just help you in all the way they can. So just make a list of the investors who are investing in your sector, or who are investing in businesses which are similar to you. Maybe let's say who are investing in your city, or people around you who could be, let's say the high HNIs of your city or your state. And yes, just contact them. But every single time you're contacting them, make sure that you actually have something unique for every single investor. You have that email typed in such a way that every investor to whom you are sending that email is compelled to read what you have written in that, or basically compelled to reply to you, whichever whatever you have written in them. So that will be the best thing. And just like I said, do not send your email, or do not send your pitch deck to thousands of investors. Just filter down. Even if you're sending to 10 people who are interested in your network, that is better than sending a cold email to thousands of investors. So yes, go with that approach, and I'm sure you will basically have something Yes, Siddharth, I have just started a company in manufacturing sector. Congratulations for that. ETH, why Indians like foreign brands more than Indian brands? Uh, well, I won't say there is like a, but I think that's how things have been since a very very long time. Like there, Indians have not really been known for innovation, or I would say that the governments have not really been known for promoting manufacturing or innovation before. And I think it has been changing in the last 20-30 years. I know since the liberalization of the economy, since there have been a lot of these initiatives, there have been a lot of these companies which have started to come out of India. There are a lot of companies which are manufacturing in India for India. So I think that is changing. But yes, that is how, like, this is a trend which has started and which has basically continued for a long, basically for many decades, and it is just not going to change very soon. And also, like, because these foreign brands are making, or because these, and also like Indians basically have kind of a knack for the foreign countries, for the Western countries, and that cannot, we cannot really change. Every Indian is basically just impressed, or they're basically just I think they're interested more in the kind of products or the kind of life that the Western countries live, and they see all of these brands in the TV serials, and they basically see those brands in the movies, and they basically see these brands whenever they're talking to their friends outside. And that is another reason why these things are in these things are famous in India. How to make startup hire without a CS degree, hiring skilled instead of a person just a degree? I think that is one of the biggest problems in this country. No, this is COB M. This is not really the problem in this industry or in this country. You just need to know what you are doing, in respect to your business model. Apart from that, there is no one who is actually looking at your degree when you're starting a startup. Like, there is no candidate who is coming for an interview who is basically interviewing for a position in your startup in your startup, and who is looking for something, who is basically looking for your degree. So that is a myth. Please take that out of your mind. And Satyam, I'm a solo founder and launched MVP months ago, and I'm struggling to recruit team members because I have nothing to give except equity. Any advice? So Satyam, yes, I mean that's a very very tough thing to convince people with when you just have equity, but this might be difficult, but it is not impossible, honestly. Like, there are people who will be interested. Maybe you might just be looking in wrong circles. Maybe you might just be talking to different people. You might just be looking at people who are already working, who have a set job in a corporate company, and who are looking, who basically have a salary coming in every first of every month. And then you are pitching them something that, okay, you are getting a salary every month, but I won't be able to give you a salary for next 6 months, but you still have to come work with me. So what, either one thing, that look for people who don't have a lot of responsibilities. Look for people who are as interested or who are as motivated as you. If that does not work, I'm sure you will be able to find at least a few people are like that. If that does not work out, go back to those people who you have already interviewed, people who are working in the corporate companies, and just tell them that, okay, you keep working in your company, but start giving, let's say, 4 hours of your time to me every single day, or 5 days a week. And after those 5 days, you give me a little bit more time, and this is what I can offer you. So you have to convince them with the kind of potential that you can have, with the kind of vision that you have with your company. And once, if they're, again, not every single person will be convinced, and that's why I said, like, it is going to be hard but not impossible. You might have to talk to like 20 people, 100 people, 200 people, just to have those 2 people or 5 people working for you. So it is going to be hard, but that's your startup life all about. Like, startup life is hard, and if you do not find these challenges, if you do not feel these challenges right at the beginning, then you basically will have a tough time. So I think this is the perfect opportunity for you to learn the knack of recruiting. Learn the knack of convincing people when you have like very very limited resources. So yes, I think that is the advice that I can give you. Sir, how to reach online customer? Scientific solutions. The best way to reach the online customers is just targeting them. I think the best thing would be online marketing. If you have like, there will be like online campaigns if you're just talking about. But again, if you're trying to reach out, know that who you are reaching out to. Have a have a filtration of the kind of people that you're targeting, have a filtration of the kind of sectors that you're targeting, have a filtration of the platforms that you're targeting, because there are some people who are very active. There is basically a set of people who are active on, let's say, Facebook. There are people active on, let's say, LinkedIn. There are people active on Instagram. So I think this is something that you have to filter out, that okay, this is going to be the best platform, this age group is going to be the best age group, targeted age group, and this, these tags and these are the kind of things that these people might be interested in. So yes. Is there any inefficiency in economy? Akshay, I don't really talk about economy and stock market in this, so I will skip that for now. But if I'm going to start a startup, what are the registration processes I have to do, Suresh? So Suresh, the I think the registration process, which is the most important one, is that you have to register a private limited company or an LLP, and it also depends on the kind of route that you want to take. If you think that you just want to start up and you do not ever want to take any investment from other people outside, then I think an LLP would work fine. But if you think that you are going to have some sort of investment coming out, coming basically from outside sources, then a private limited company will work fine for you. And apart from that, you will need a PAN number, a TAN number, which are very common for, whenever you're starting when you're registering a private limited. I think these things uh, will be automatically there. Apart from that, GST registration also there. If you are starting an office, if you are having people working for you in a particular office, I think you also will have to take the NOC from the labor department in your city or in your state. And yeah, I think there are very common registration processes which you have to do to start any business. Like, you don't have to do anything special when you're starting a startup, and not a traditional business. Future of subscription based book supply, like library online will deliver book to customer, and what the book he wants. Scientific solution, I don't know, what how uh, logistically that will be possible, how you can basically make to that break even point, because people don't really, if you're looking at renting a book, people don't really want to pay a lot of money. So if you're just looking at a physical model of delivery, and then take collecting it back once that person is done with that, that might not really work. But again, the kind of books that do matter, like there are a lot of these technical books which cost thousands of rupees, and if you're just giving that to someone 400 rupees for a month or for a week, I think that might just work fine for you. So uh, yeah, subscription based book model, book supply sounds appealing to me. But again, it really, I think, there are a lot of specifics involved in a business like this, and you will need to do a lot of research before actually starting, or before actually uh, wanting to do something in that. I can make whiteboard animation and no After Effects, can I get a job? Ankur, yes, I think, we should talk. Please email us at work@bwm@gmail.com, and someone will be in touch with you. And maybe just send us some of your samples and some of your works that is already either published, or something that is even unpublished, that you can just share with us. So please send us an email, and I hope someone will get in touch with you very soon. Scientific solutions, I've already answered. I see so many edtech startups booming. Is there any potential in the edtech space for a new company? Yes, there is. Like, I think I keep saying that again and again, that even though there are a lot of these companies which are working, they have not tapped even 25 to 30% market of the Indian edtech sector. So there is still a lot of potential for an edtech company to come out of India and to be successful. Uh, how to find the right person or right staff for a company? Vikram, I have made a video about how to do the first hiring for your startup in the Startup 101 series. Please go to that playlist and watch that video. And if you have any doubts even after that, please reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer that for you in the comment section of that video. Is every problem solved by the big companies? Is there any more inefficiencies solved by a startup? Akshay, no. I mean, big companies cannot solve every single problem, and that's why we see a lot of these startups coming out every single day, every single month, every single year, and that's why we actually see a lot of unicorns basically. So yes, I mean, I don't really want to list out the problems which cannot be solved by the big companies. I think that's something for you to figure out. But yes, the short answer to your question is that no, these companies cannot. These companies cannot solve every single problem. Scientific solution, can I contact you? Yes, you can contact me. You can either contact me on the email at backstagemillennials@gmail.com, or you can get in touch me on Instagram at Backstage with Millennials or Kumar Prithvi, KUNWARPRITHVI. That's my username on Instagram, and yeah, you can reach out to me there. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. How has this pandemic affected rising startups in India? The trying actually this pandemic certainly, I think, has how has this impacted the startups in India? Rising startups. I mean, it hasn't really affected rising startups in India. It has pushed. It has certainly helped the rising startups in India. There are a lot more. There is a lot more capital coming in. There are basically a lot of unicorns coming out of India. There are a lot of startups being registered. So yes, I think it hasn't really impacted it in a bad way. It has certainly impacted the startups in a very, very good way in India. What is your thought on third party software or an app where the user can put all the data like important docs and videos, photos, and any top officials, paper, and stuff using the blockchain technology? Are you just talking about a vault? Are you talking about like there is Google Drive? We have there is we have Apple iCloud, we have Microsoft Cloud. What do you think is very very secure? It can even encrypt the data. So Sakti, I don't know how many people will be. I mean, even I think a lot of these cloud platforms they do encrypt the data. So what is like? Are you offering to the customers? Like, what is your selling point? I think that is going to be either you are providing a very good price point. Are you either you are providing technology, but even if you're providing very good technology, I think you have to have a track record in building something technical if you want to make people trust you with all of their data. If people do not want to trust, if people they cannot trust you with their data, then I don't think you'll have any merit in starting up with this idea. So I think first thing you really need to figure out that what is going to be your selling point, and once you have that, then it certainly looks like something doable. But just like I said, how will you convince people to choose you over Google Cloud or Apple iCloud? Active person, I want to start something that connects influencers and brand, but how will the brand know what I can provide them without having past portfolio? Active person, there is a company called Tag Mango, which was started by a guy called Divyanshu Damani. So I think just go and watch the case study of that. Basically case study of that company. Just read about that company, and I'm sure you will know what are the kind of doubts that you have. He also started on something very very similar, and yes, you will have your all the answers if you can get most of the details of that about that company. Uh, how do you manage your knowledge diet on daily basis? Do you suggest any app? No, so I say that I basically just read a lot online. I read a lot of news items. I basically read, there are a few websites which are literally open like 50 times a day. So I don't really have any app but I read a lot of news online. I think that's all I can say. Hi, I want to start something. I have already answered that. Messaging app, Discord, any startup idea? I do not just want to give you any startup ideas. I mean, I cannot give you any startup idea because I don't know what your expertise are. Hi, I want to start something that connects influencers and brands. And how many times will you send this question, active person? I know you're active, but this active I did not know. In vehicle infotainment, okay, Koshek, in vehicle infotainment, IVI. Okay, you talked about the apps for that. Uh, I think there is certainly a huge market for that. I'm certain there is going to be a huge market even after like these technologies or these companies basically come up with that, because if you have watched the Praveg interview and a Praveg interview with Ram Dwivedi, he is one of the co-founders and the investor in Praveg, that is the electric car startup. So in Praveg, I think he talks about that most of the stuff now that we are talking about autonomous cars, we are talking about self-driving cars, and we are actually talking about cars, connected cars, basically, internet connected cars. So a lot of that is going to be a lot of the experience that people are going to look at, while they are looking to buy a car, is going to be the kind of user experience that you can provide when they are inside the car. And I think most of that will be controlled by the apps. Most of them will be controlled with your smartphone. If you can basically control the kind of features and you can control the apps that you have inside your car with your smartphone, I think that is going to be a very very big sector. Tesla is already working on that. in India, I don't know how many these electric car companies are working on something like that. But yes, if you're only talking about the potential of that, there is a lot of potential now that I understand, what you really talk about, what you're really talking about. But again, I think, most of the time there are a lot of these big companies which are competing in that. So I think there has to be a first mover advantage. There has to be something unique. There has to be, either it is uniquely price point, either it is a subscription model like Ola started to give in their cabs. Ola Play was, I don't know how successful was that, but Ola basically started giving that. So I think there is a lot of potential, and without a lot of knowledge, I don't really want to go into details. But yes, good luck with that. That's all I can say. Prasanna, how to find an angel investor or seed investment? I have already answered that in the beginning of this video. I hope that answers your question. How many times? Okay, now we just have spam from different people. Hello, Rajas. Can I scale a no-code app to first 1,000 customers until seed round? Yes, you can certainly do that, Dhruvo. And yeah, I don't see there is anything which is people basically start their business ideas, or people start their businesses from an Excel sheet. And I don't know how many of you will actually believe on that, but you do not really have to have an app, or you do not really have to have a website before pitching your business model, because investors are not looking at how good your website looks or how good your app looks. Investors are only looking at how feasible your business model is, how good your data is, how good your numbers are, and how basically promising your numbers are. And I know at least a couple of people who started their businesses in Excel sheet, basically started on Word Excel, just having a data, basically reaching out to every single customer, reaching out to every single vendor, reaching out to every single person who was going to be a part of the business. They didn't really make it to an app, make it to a website that every person just can come and register and they can sell their services. They basically managed it through phone, they managed it through a call center, without even having a website, without even having any online presence, right in Excel sheets, and they got fundings. So do not think that you need to have a website. Just like I said, because if an investor is interested in your idea, if an investor is interested in your business model, then they know that making a website is not more than a 5-minute thing. You can basically just pay to a company or an agency, and they will be able to make a website, a very, very nice website, in less than a week, in less than a month. So having a website is not really the requirement for these investors. Having a good business model is. Like, you cannot just make a really good website with no business plan, reach out to these investors and expect those investors to basically invest in your product just because you have a nice looking website. I hope that answers your question. Okay, I have all these spams, so I think I have reached to 11:50. Can we buy a patent for an idea which started in our mind so that there is no one could copy it? Priyanshu, patents, I think, don't really work on the idea until and unless you are working in something very, very technical, like either you are working on some sort of vaccines, either you are working on something very chemically based, or either you are working on a very if it is not something which is like life changing, I don't really think there will be any patent which is granted on just the idea. And yes, if you have already started working on that, if you have some prototype, if you have something basically just to show to them, then you might be in a better chance to actually get a patent. And yes, patents are basically granted, or patents are patents are taken to ensure that no one can copy your idea. Future of short video news platform like short which only provide written but only provide 2-minute video and audio section. Future of this scientific solution, there is a good future, but there are companies which are already working in that. If that is what you wanted to know. When will we get good manufacturing startups in India? We already have some decent manufacturing startups in India, Akshay. And I keep saying that again and again, like Indian manufacturing started very, very late than the other countries. So to see the kind of potential, to see the kind of results that are in India, that are coming from the coming from the startups, manufacturing startups in India, we'll need to wait for a few more years because yeah, manufacturing industry does need a lot of time to basically show the kind of to show the kind of results, or to show the kind of potential that they have. Halchal baby, hi. Cred and Magic Pin are almost doing the same thing, yet Cred is so far ahead, although it limits itself to niche group of credit card users. Yes, because of the person, because of the kind of track record this guy has, Kunal Shah, and I think also because the kind of context that he had. So, how to find an angel investor? Which book would you suggest? Dr. Shivam, I will basically I will basically be commenting on this video after it goes live on the YouTube channel with the list of 10 books, so that you can have a list of the books. So guys, I think I'm way past 1 hour, and I will have to ignore any more questions which came after 11:50. I actually took the questions which was sent to me by 11:56, even though I said that I won't be considering any questions by after 11:50. And there is a small announcement, just like I said that last time too. We are trying to shift this live stream to Instagram, and I think in the next couple of weeks we will be completely closing this. We will basically completely be ending this live stream on YouTube, and we will be shifting it to Instagram. I haven't really decided the time yet, but it is going to be a weekday, and it is going to be somewhere around 9 to 9:30 p.m. So please follow us on Instagram if you have not followed us on Instagram yet. Our Instagram ID is Backstage with Millionaires, just the entire name of this channel without spaces. So please follow us on Instagram if you have not followed us on Instagram yet, because I'm trying to figure out what is the best way that we can actually make these live streams more interactive. What is the way that we can actually make sure that every single of you who are talking to us, we can actually have a two-way conversation. We can make it more interactive, and so that we can basically go from YouTube to we can basically go from YouTube to Instagram. So please follow us on Instagram if you have not yet, and if you have any suggestions, please feel free to write to me on an email or to my Instagram. And I'll see you next week at 11 a.m. again, because we actually kept this time as 11 a.m. because of IPL, but now we cannot really, now that IPL is not going on, I actually did not want to go back to the previous time on YouTube. I actually wanted to keep it just to this time, so that whenever you are going on Instagram, we can go at a new time. So please follow us on Instagram, and thank you very much for turning up for today's live stream. And please take care of yourself, your family members, and please be safe. And I'll see you next week at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And before that, just like I said, please make sure that you are on Instagram, because from next week onwards, I will start an Instagram session as well. Like, I will keep it both of them. I will keep YouTube and Instagram for a couple of weeks, and after that it will completely be shifted to Instagram. So that's it. Thank you very much for turning up today, and I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is in fine health, and I'll see you next week at 11 a.m. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good week ahead.